The oopsie jar. I love that bit in the movie. I'm curious, when you guys were kids, did you have any type of cursing jar when you were around, like as a kid? Did you ever have to put money in it at all? No?
My parents cursed constantly. It was awesome.
That's great.
Oh, no, my parents actually never cursed, so it was just like, it just was not an option really in our house. Like I told her yesterday, my mom called my dad a jackass, and I just like sobbed. I was like, the world is over. Like,
oh my God.
Oh yeah, she's very like, she's very closeted.
Right. Is it weird for you to be cursing as much as you are in the film and then your parents to watch it?
Oh, it's great. I like love it when it's just like, it's so freeing because like,
Is she
I think
scandalized?
my mom was an extra in a movie recently with me.
What?
And they were like, the director was like, kick your mom's chair and then Elaine, tell her to like, to just knock it, to stop. And everybody's sleeping on the bus and my mom turns around and goes, knock it off, bitch! And I was like, oh my God, you waited your whole life for this moment. It was like the best. So I need to get an oopsie jar for my mom. So.
That is absolutely
It
amazing.
was liberating. So characters like this are, always fun.
Filmmaking question, it might be a dumb question, but you take a photo of Blake in the film, you make her delete it.
Yes.
Does the photo actually get taken in real life, and does it really exist, or did you really delete it on set?
Okay, I was watching the blooper reel, which will probably be on the DVD, and I'm getting so frustrated because the camera won't take the photo, and it was one of those things where, like, if we just were, like, miming the photo, I wouldn't have been, like, getting annoyed with it, but I was supposed to be, like, hearing the click, and, so I was taking and deleting photos. I think I was deleting them.
We need to get that one photo
I think they're out. They're you definitely took photos.
Yeah, I
That's
definitely
cool.
did.
I was just curious about that. But one thing I love, obviously the aviation gin thing is really cool to see. But I think Paul does a great job because it doesn't feel product placement-y at all. I think that...
it wasn't at the time.
And it wasn't,
It's like half responsible for my husband deciding to buy this gin companies because gin was a big part of this movie. And at the same time, Ryan was like obsessed with this gin in Vancouver. He was having this love affair. And I said to Paul, hey, what if we put this gin in? Thinking that maybe we could get free cases of gin if we put it in the movie. And then like that sort of just like tumbleweeded into like this, this whole thing.
That's cool. Speaking of tumbleweed, that is the coolest shot ever when you get out of that Porsche and then the Hello Kitty umbrella goes by in slow-mo. That was so badass. I always wanted to know this. Every time I watch a movie, sometimes you hear a character say the title of a film. You actually say it in this movie. You say, can I have a simple favor? I always find that interesting. I'm wondering when you say it as an actress, do you kind of in your back of your mind go, that's the title of the movie? Is that kind of a strange thing when you do it?
Oh, it's always the worst. Yeah. Yes. When you say the title, you're like,
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It sounds very natural.
Oh, good.
It sounds awesome in the movie.
I was trying to just like stutter through it. And it was off camera, but I don't know. It's always like really intimidating.
Yeah. One thing I love about this movie is, to me, the range that you both show in this film as actresses is incredible. I mean, like your arc is amazing. Just everything that happens with your characters. And you have a great moment on the couch when you say, "What's the wildest thing you've ever done?" I'm not going to ask you what the wildest thing you've ever done in your life is, but I'm wondering what's the wildest thing you've ever done to play a role, like to get into a character. What is the craziest thing you've ever had to do to play a role?
Oh, I know.
Just something that was like maybe like abnormal or strange yet to get into a character.
Well, there was a thing I was talking about yesterday, and I'd completely forgotten about it. When I was doing End of Watch, it was kind of hard to... We didn't want to rehearse much because, like, we wanted it to be really fresh on the day. But David Ayer, the director, wrote a scene that was my first date with Jake Gyllenhaal's character, because you don't see the first date in the movie. He just introduces me and was like, "Oh, we've been on some dates and they went well." So we like rehearsed the crap out of a scene, knowing that it was never going to go in the movie. But it was actually really cool because we didn't just like create a backstory and talk about the backstory. We like acted out the backstory.
Oh, that's
it was really helpful.
And for you, anything kind of like that was like strange like that?
Recently, I did a film where I played a heroin addict, and I spent a lot of time doing ride-alongs with the cops, and then going in and as they were like doing drug busts, I would like sit and watch them and hear them talk about it. And then I just spent a lot of time like just literally like walking through alleyways talking to people from like teenagers to people in their 60s about like their addiction and how it started and why. And it was just like, it was one of the hardest, most emotional things I've ever done, but it also like gives you like such a responsibility to tell the story accurately and not just like, write them off like society has.
That's really cool.
That was probably not the heavy answer you were
No, honestly, I think that was a great answer.
But it was pretty, it was intimidating.
No, that's fantastic. My wife told me to tell you she loved All I See Is You. you. So
oh, that's nice.
She said,
Please tell her
Blake,
thank you.
I love that
That's
movie.
nice.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
We'll
I
get to see you
appreciate
guys.
that.
Congratulations.
See you.
Seriously,
Take care.
amazing film. Really
Thank you
good
so
job.
much.
Hope you all
Take
have a good
care.
day, all
Thank
right?
you.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You use your natural accent in here and also Crazy Rich Asians.
That's right. Yeah.
Is it easier to act when it's your real accent? I would imagine it's
Oh,
like
man.
a different thing.
My
for you.
American accent sucks.
Really?
It's so bad.
What do you have a hard time with?
Just everything about it. Just naturally sort of like, it takes a little bit of thought process. I think it takes obviously practice and stuff like that. But my accent's kind of like worn down through the years from being away from the UK. And my wife has like this international kind of American accent. So my A's kind of stray, my R's kind of roll a little bit more. But no, luckily, we didn't have to change that for both the roles.
Well, so I'm wondering, like after now this film and Crazy Rich Asians are going to be big films for you. You're probably getting a lot more roles coming in. So are you gonna?
I hope so.
Are you thinking of like what the American accent might be like if you have to do it?
I'm gonna park myself in some state right in the middle of America and just like force myself to order coffee in the accent. And no, I'm definitely gonna work on it. I think it should be a tool that all actors sort of have.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be an English character the entire time.
Well, we're watching the film. There's a lot going on, specifically Blake's tattoos. Now, those get explained somewhere, but your tattoos were interesting as well. I don't remember there being a specific backstory there. I'm wondering for your character, for you personally, what did you build in as to why he had those tattoos?
I think for him, it really is kind of like a side of Sean. Sean's kind of gone through some dark times. Like he had this success of like this book that went global and he was the talk of the town, and then nothing for like 10 years. And sometimes that harbors kind of these feelings, and I think tattoos are a way of kind of imbuing yourself with more of what you hope for and what you aspire to. So I think that's definitely something.
We're sitting here doing press for A Simple Favor. Right now, as we sit here, Crazy Rich Asians is becoming #1 at the box office this weekend. This is absolutely surreal. I know you've been asked this question a lot, but what does it feel like for you? And if you had a specific fan moment that is kind of like blowing you away, like has there been a moment of someone said something to you that really kind of hit you hard?
I think Chris Pratt just tweeted this morning. And he's like, oh, I didn't know what to expect, but this is one of the best movies I've seen in the longest time. That, for me, is just like, holy crap. And then yesterday, The Rock posted up something on Instagram, tagged my little name in there, and I was just like, oh my God, he thought my name. Maybe he didn't even write the text, but like, it's amazing that the outreach that people in the industry have sort of giving. They're really sort of behind both the movies. So I can't wait for everybody to sort of see myself in CRA, but then see me in a different light altogether with A Simple Favor. So that for me is really exciting, because the last thing I wanted to be was sort of typecast in that romantic kind of lead, or romantic comedy role. I want to sort of build a body of work that explores all dimensions.
Because we see what's on screen, and we see your tattoos, as you mentioned. Are there things that you build into these characters that we may not know? Like, do you ever do you build in things to Sean here that maybe only you know that help you get into the role?
For me, I kept my wedding ring on.
That's your real wedding ring?
That was my real wedding ring. They were like, oh, we'll replace it in case we lose it. And I was like, no.
That's so cool.
I think, sentimentally, like, I think it is so much more meaningful when something like that, it's so iconic. And attaching that with Blake and her character of Emily, it's something that I didn't take off. So, I was in that relationship. So it helps you sort of keep you there.
Yeah, and last question for you. Obviously, this is an amazing moment right now in your career. I'm wondering, do the characters ever stay with you? Are there parts of Nick, are there parts of Sean that are kind of still with you as you sit here, as you leave the project?
Yeah, I think it always does. I think you always sort of like, oh, what would Sean do in this situation? Or what would Nick do in this situation? They're with you for life. You concentrate so much within this sort of 3-month period of getting into character, doing the script justice. You're living this out day to day. it's hard not to. It's like you go to a beautiful sort of a holiday and you remember it for the rest of your life. You remember what it smells like, what it feels like, what it tastes like to be there. Same thing for a character.
Yeah, well, you do a great job. I'm so honored to sit across
Thank
from you. I'm
you,
just
Kevin.
happy for you, man. I'm
I
really
appreciate
genuinely.
it.
So I'm very interested in how sometimes trailers present the filmmaker's name. This says From the Darker Side of Paul Feig, which I thought was awesome. I'm curious, was that something you wanted in there? Did they decide to put that in there? I thought that was a cool idea.
No, Lionsgate put together this campaign, and one of the first things they had was that title in there. And then when they did the spot, it wasn't in, and I was like, "Oh, can you put that back in?" Because I thought it was really, I like that. I don't know, I like the idea of the darker side of Paul Feig.
Me too.
I'm the dark meat, exactly.
Now, one of the cool things about the movie, obviously you incorporate the aviation gin from Ryan's company, and there's great scenes where they're drinking it, but I also thought it was fascinating how you shot those moments, because sometimes if you deal with product placement or things like that in a movie, it can be shot in a certain way where it takes you out, but you actually have moments where there's logos sometimes, but then other times the bottles turn the other way while Blake's pouring it. Is that done on purpose not to overdo the logo, or do you do that? I'm wondering.
Yeah, you never want to like shine a spotlight on anything like that. And honestly, one of the main reasons I put that in is because I think that bottle is so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, and it was Blake had said, "Oh, yeah, if you want to use this gin that Ryan's now bought into the company," I was like, "Well, cool," because I'm a big gin fanatic, and obviously, as you can see, it's pretty much martini porn. This movie.
Yeah, that was awesome. Now, there's a great moment where a kid drops an F-bomb, and I always wonder. Well, yeah, there's a couple of them, but I'm wondering as a filmmaker, when you have a kid do that, are the parents on set? Is that weird to say to them, "Hey, your kid's gonna drop an F-bomb"?
Well, it was actually part of the audition scene. So the kids coming in, you go like, okay, at least they know we're not hiding it from the parents. But it's very interesting and disturbing to have 5-year-olds come in one after another and just drop the F-bomb.
Now that needs to be in the credits at the end of the film, like just a bunch of that, like in a montage.
They'll do the audition montage.
That would be
for
amazing.
Yes, as I corrupt the youth of America.
One thing I find interesting is every time I watch a movie, I always wonder, like sometimes the title of the film will be said within the movie, and Blake actually says, "Can I ask you a simple favor?" And I always find that interesting when you direct a moment like that, when the title is being said. Do you kind of like take a step back and go, "That's our title"? Is that a little strange?
It's funny. You hear it. I'm friends with Penn Jillette, and he used to tell me about in the old days of New York. They used to go to Times Square and go to see movies, and they had a game whenever somebody in the movie would say the name of the movie, they would all cheer.
Oh,
so
cool.
so every time somebody says the name of the movie as we're shooting it, all I hear is like people cheering.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It kind of goes by, and you're like, hey, wait, that's the movie. But it's like the old George Carlin joke when like you're in a movie theater and somebody says a date and it's your birthday, and you want to go, hey, that's my birthday.
Yeah.
You want to yell it out. So.
But one thing I loved was the slow motion walk out of the car in the rain as you have that tumbleweed umbrella kind of go by. I was curious how that shot worked, what you did for the filmmaking of that. How did you get that to kind of go by like that? And what was that, like a rain machine? How did you do that scene?
Well, first of all, John Schwartzman was my cinematographer on this, and he's shot a bunch of Victoria's Secret commercials. So he's always like, he said, this is our Victoria's Secret shot. But it was important to have this Hello Kitty umbrella tumbling through. So we had all these tests we did of just had a fan off to the side and would just like blow that thing through. So at normal speed, it looks funny because she's just walking, this thing goes like whoosh right through. But thank goodness for slow motion because it made it look magical.
Do you direct her to walk differently in slow? I'm sorry, I was gonna say like when she walks like that, do you have to tell her to walk a little differently?
No, just walk, regular, and then slow motion does the job.
That's cool. Well, great job to you. Congratulations. That was
Thank you, Kevin.
awesome.